The Arizona Cardinals this weekend will be facing off at home against the Los Angeles Rams. Jonathan Gannon has never won a divisional game in his career as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Now, not really fair. He's only been there for a year. Last year's team wasn't good. Josh Dobbs for a lot of the year. But before I dive deep into this game, I have to now go back into defending Kyler Murray. If you saw my video recently of the Arizona Cardinals, a recap of Bills Cardinals, I went after Kyler Murray. I said last week's game's on him. Last week's game was on Kyler Murray. 3 timeouts, 2 minutes to go. I don't want to hear about how bad the defense was. We already knew the defense was bad. I don't want to hear about extenuating circumstances like penalties. The Cardinals got a break on numerous calls. I don't want to hear about Drew Petzing's play calling. Kyler Murray, with 2 minutes to go, 3 timeouts, you have to win that game, no exceptions. If he is the quarterback that you say he is, and that I say he is, he needs to win that game. Hold your quarterbacks to a higher standard, and that's what I do with Kyler because I know how good he is. And that was my rare criticism of Kyler Murray. Normally I'm a defender, and today I'm back defending. The NFL media, I tend not to listen to a ton of it when it comes to national folks talking about the Arizona Cardinals. I just don't. I know they don't know what they're talking about. It's not their fault. A lot of teams that they have to get to on a day in, day out basis. Here's what drives me insane, and it always will be. I've mentioned it on this show. I've mentioned it on other circumstances, whether it's on Fox Sports 910 and I'm filling in, Locked On Suns, the Suns podcast that I'm on, part of the Lockcast or the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm authentic. I'm truthful. The guy you get on here is the guy you get out there. So inauthenticity and trustworthiness, or non-trustworthiness, I guess I should say, drive me insane. The Kyler Murray nonsense that we have seen over the past week, where he said it's not his job to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball, just to blatantly go after Kyler Murray, was asinine journalism and was asinine ridiculous farming engagement or engagement farming on Twitter. We have asked for Kyler Murray to be mature. We have asked for Kyler Murray to be selfless. We have asked for him to be exactly what he has been cognitively, mentally, over the past 6, 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months. Over the past year and a half even. We've asked Kyler to be this mature player. Kyler has repeatedly said, even before this quote came out, he'll never give up on Marv. But still the national media has taken it as, well, it's not my job. And he's absolutely right. It's not Kyler Murray's job to force feed the ball to anyone. That's ridiculousness. That's how you lose games. If your focus, your first focus on the game is not they lost or they won, and instead it's, well, how many receptions did Marvin Harrison Jr. get? You're in the wrong, and you should stop evaluating football. Because it's not Kyler's job. And if you read the full quote, you would know Kyler was basically propping up his head coaching, or even more so, his offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing. Drew Petzing just wants Kyler to execute the offense. Get it to the open man, true and true. Get it to the open man, through and through. And Drew Petzing had said to Kyler, and that was the rest of the quote, basically saying, Drew tells me not to worry about that stuff. And that's exactly what Kyler Murray does. He's going to get it to Marv. Why would he avoid Marvin Harrison Jr.? But this idea that we're going to go back on the notion that Kyler Murray hasn't been mature over the past year, year and a half, I'm not going to stand for it. I went after Kyler Murray when he wasn't mature. I went after Kyler Murray last week when he didn't win the game with 3 timeouts and 2 minutes to go. It is unfair criticism to Kyler Murray that because he says it's not his job, and it's absolutely not, to force feed targets to his newly acquired 4th overall pick, Marvin Harrison Jr., is insanity. You have to pick what you want then. You, the consumer. If you want Kyler Murray to force feed the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. and they lose, that's fine. But stand on that business, as the kids say, right? Stand on that business. Well, at least he got the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. What Kyler Murray said was not wrong. And for his entirety of being the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals pre-Jonathan Gannon, he was asked to do everything. Now he doesn't have to do that. Now he doesn't have to rely on just Marvin Harrison Jr. He's got other wide receivers. He's got other pass catchers. He's got other weapons. Trey McBride, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, James Conner are all phenomenal weapons for the young quarterback in Kyler Murray to have. So I'm not blaming him for not force-feeding the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. and specifically executing the offense the way it's supposed to go while propping up his OC and saying, Drew Petzing just wants me to get the ball where it's supposed to go. That's what I like from Kyler Murray. That's more signs of maturity. And you having your specific agenda because you don't like the guy is on you. Now over to the Cardinals and the Rams. This is a must-win game for the Cardinals. You're not going to get Sean McVay without a bunch of his weapons often. They're missing linemen. They're missing defensive players. They're missing Puka Nacua. Kyron Williams will be there. But this is kind of a must-win game for the Cardinals. If you are going to be relevant this year, if you are going to captivate your audience, I believe you can't start 0-2. Because you have the Lions next week and you're starting 0-3. This is a perfect spot to get a team that has more or less owned you over the past few seasons. The Cardinals haven't beat the Rams at home since I believe 2014 or 2015. Some odd half-decade ago length. But this is a game you have to win. You got to bracket Cooper Kupp. You got to contain the run. And you got to have a defensive coordinator do his job against an OC who is very smart but without a bunch of weapons. You need Jonathan Gannon in this spot where Sean McVay is playing with less on offense, including out Puka Nacua and including out multiple linemen. You have to take advantage in that spot. Because you already have what is going to be a loss next week in the Detroit Lions. The Cardinals just don't have the dogs in that race to keep up with them defensively. They just don't. This is a game you got to win. This is a game that I believe the Arizona Cardinals will win. Because the Cardinals are coming off a game that they felt like they should have won, and I believe they should have won. I picked them to win. But the Rams, without Puka Nacua, without multiple linemen, without players on the defensive side of the ball, you got to win this game, get back to 500, captivate your audience, and get ready for 2 games down the stretch in which you can go 2-2. If the Cardinals are going to be a legitimate playoff contender this year, this is the spot where they have to win games. You missed an opportunity last week. You got to win this week. Detroit Lions coming up, likely a loss next week. You get the Commanders at home. That is how you want to start the season, 2-2. So in a spot where Sean McVay does not have all of his weapons, and Jonathan Gannon has pretty much everyone healthy, that is what you have to do and win this game if you're the Cardinals. Finally, I wanted to just talk about this really quickly. There was a conversation started by ESPN basically throwing a trade out there, Hassan Reddick for Budda Baker straight up. And I would do it in a heartbeat if you're the Arizona Cardinals. Listen, value in the NFL is not in safeties, is not in secondaries. Value in the NFL is found at edge rusher, someone to protect your quarterback, and now at this point, quarterbacks and wide receivers. And cornerbacks as well. You could throw them in the mix in there as well. But if you can get Hassan Reddick for Budda Baker, in which it saves the Jets, you know what? Because they're able to get an all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber player to come back in that trade who will play for them, that makes sense. This is a must deal to do if you are the Arizona Cardinals. And I know Arizona Cardinal fans love Budda Baker, but for God's sake, look at Budda Baker right now for what he is. He's not the player he used to be, although played very well last week. He's on a contract year. You're going to lose him for nothing. If you can save all of your draft capital and just give up Budda Baker and get a Pro Bowl type edge rusher in Hassan Reddick to help with your edge rush, and then you have Darius Robinson coming back in a couple weeks, your edge rush doesn't look so bad anymore. That is absolutely a deal I would do for the Arizona Cardinals. It would suck giving up Budda Baker, but if it could happen, you have to do it. The Jets get a Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber player that they don't have to pay. They know he will play on his contract. The Cardinals get a reunion edge rusher in Hassan Reddick, who's played here before and has succeeded under Jonathan Gannon before. You have to make that move if you're the Arizona Cardinals, especially for a secondary that is much improved, and especially when you used a draft pick this year on a safety. It makes sense for both teams, and if I'm the Arizona Cardinals, you have to make that trade to bolster your pass rush, to bolster your run defense, so this defense doesn't get just completely roughshotted all over the field for the rest of the season. It is a slam dunk move for the Cardinals, not giving up trade capital and only giving up a player that you were going to lose in the offseason anyways, to bolster your pass rush and to bolster that run defense and to overall make your defense better.